welcome to episode 416 of the DFO Rundown, as always brought to you by Bet365. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Lots of action, lots of fun. Get in the game. Use the promo code NATION, NATION, for lots of action, NBA, NFL, XCFL playoffs, and of course, a heavy slate of NHL games. I'm Jason Gregor, as we welcome back our Friday co-host, a Stanley Cup winner, Game 7 hero, and of course, analyst at the NHL Network, Mike Rupp. Join us, Rupper. How you doing?
I am good. Excited to be here at the end of this busy week.
You got the Rodman hoodie going on right now. Nice.
Yeah, I got the. Nice. Yeah, I was my passion when I was a kid was always hockey, but it was basketball for a long time. And if you're talking 90s basketball, NBA, I will divulge in that conversation all day long. So I kind of became a Bulls fan in a weird way because I was a Cavaliers fan that just kept losing to Michael and the Bulls. And eventually, I don't know, I just started migrating across the aisle a little bit. So love it. Threw the sweatshirt on this morning.
Now, could you dunk in your heyday?
Yeah. So it was funny. I got to a point when I was in 9th grade where I kind of needed to make a decision because that's why I got on like USA Hockey radar and I started going to those festivals and being on like the U15 team and stuff like that. But I loved basketball. I spent so much time and just played every spare moment that I had. And I remember having a conversation with my grandfather, and he was just like, listen, he played basketball back in the day. And he's like, I don't know how big you're going to be, but you're big in hockey. You're not going to be very big in basketball. And he's like, plus you can't jump as high as some of these other guys can. So I'm like, no, that's fair. So the funny thing is I used to always be the handler of the ball because I play all the time. I was, when I play on the driveway, I had the ball in my hand when I play with my friends. And then when I'd sign up, when I was playing for my school, I was the tallest. So they just throw you down in the block. And I remember I'd get an offensive rebound. I'd dribble out to like the 3-point line. And they're like, no. It wasn't fun anymore for me. So I ended up choosing hockey, which worked out.
That's fair. I dunked once in my life. I practiced because I'm 6 feet and maybe just under 6'1". And man, I practiced every day. We had a spare. I'll never forget it in high school, the 7 spare. And buddy, there's many times where I hit the rim and right down on the ground.
I did that too, yeah.
Crushing. Yeah. And I'll still remember that. And I dunked once. And man, I thought after that I was just going to become Michael Jordan and be dunking all the time. And it did not work. I never dunked cleanly again after that. But that one day, it's like when I watch guys dunk, and I know it's easy when you see like the 6'9" guys, right? Their arms are so long, they're barely even jumping. Yeah. Like you look at Wembanyama can dunk almost standing still now. It's kind of freakish. Yeah. But for a shorter white guy, that was a big moment of my athletic endeavors.
It's funny. That's pretty good though with your size and being able to do that. So you got some good ups. The lockout 04-05, we kind of got into when the season should have started, and the training just got so boring because the same training I did since the end of the prior season. So I wanted to switch it up. So there was a pickup game with a local college team. And I started jumping in on these pickup games, and it was so fun just to have a different type of workout. But it was you're competitive. At that time, I'm 23, 24 years old. Like that was a blast. I was living it up for a couple months. It was fun.
So did you ever, like, when you guys played basketball at the NHL, like with your team, did you dominate? You must have been, because now maybe it's different, but I find now lots of the players are like one sport athletes, man. Like I've seen them trying to throw a baseball. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? I thought you were an athlete. Like, you're a hockey player, but you're not necessarily an athlete.
No, 100%. So we would have some, we play like knockout. We don't necessarily play like pickup games, but we'd a lot of times we'd be in a city for an extra day. It always seemed to be Tampa. And when I was at the Penguins, I remember we'd go and we just mess around. We'd have a game of volleyball. We'd go to a gym, kind of rent it out. And then we'd play we just played like knockout and kind of a little bit of 3-on-3. But yeah, it's fun to like locate who the guys you could tell that played basketball, and certainly the ones who did not. Some of the great hockey players still, when you're dribbling, their wrists are too strong, man. They're just slapping the ball still. I'm like, wait, you've never like dribbled a basketball before? But it's, it's fun, and it kind of tease the guys about that.
Yeah. Well, hey, we're going to get on we got lots to talk about today. We're going to get to the hit from last night. We got some teams that are up and coming, some young guys on fire, but still got to pay homage and honor the grade 8 Alex Ovechkin, who earlier this week scored his 900th goal. And I looked it up and I did his splits of because he's the only player in NHL history. He's the only player you can do this with, where you can do splits of 300 goal increments by 3. He's the only guy you can do it.
Yeah.
And so I looked it up quick. His first 3, and I don't know if Pat has the tweet or not, but I put it out on social. His first 300 goals, it took him 473 games. Pretty good. Then his next 300 goals took him 517 games. Still pretty damn good. And his last 300, 514 games. Yeah. He 3 fewer games to go from 601 to 900 than from 301 to 600. Like, that to me might be the most impressive part. And I know people like, oh yeah, Ovi, like they've seen the pictures of him playing beach volleyball. Like, dude, we had my pizza pig out last night. Trust me. Like, the thing I like about Ovi is he's not the 6-pack chiseled guy, right? He's not sitting there pumping out, hey guys, I like to have a beer. They're throwing him beers after games. Like, he's built a little bit different that way. And but his ability in his 30s, Rupper, I looked at it in his 30s alone. He scored 422 goals in his 30s. And so I looked at guys like Draisaitl and Matthews because I'm like, no one's coming to 900, right? And those are the 2 active guys. Like, Crosby's probably going to get to 700. And then I think Matthews and Draisaitl will for sure get there, maybe Pasternak. But even like to 800, I looked at Austin Matthews. And Austin Matthews right now, from 19 to 28, which is the same as 30 to 39, he's got 409 goals. Ovi had 422. Now, this year isn't over, so Matthews will eventually pass that, I would assume, and get to maybe 440 or something like that, maybe 450. But he would then have to go, even if he gets to that 450, in his 30s, he's going to have to match Ovi just to get over 800. Like, it's wild when you take the time to break down his goal scoring attributes.
It is. And those numbers are incredible. And the fact that he's at that number in his last 300 blows my mind. But I don't want to play the what if, but I will. He broke his leg last year. And last year was that heater that he was on later in the season, slow start. I mean, theoretically, he could have been under 500 games to get this last 300. How nuts is that when you're looking at it? That clip that he was on, I think the first 300 was 473. It could have been fairly close to that, maybe if he doesn't break his leg last year. So it's incredible. It really, really is. Just the way that's the one thing that people I think don't give him enough credit for. There is the Ovi office. The Ovi office, they should mark that part of the ice on every ice surface. I think I used to think this with Gretzky too. There should be some sort of there should be something behind the net, just some little mark on every NHL ice surface. It's just cool. It doesn't have to be big, but just a marking that's Wayne's spot, and now you'd have potentially Ovi's spot. But that has been his spot. But the fact is, I played against this guy when he came into the league. And the way he was scoring goals right away, eventually you started scheming for that. He was a guy who came down the left side. He'd take a half step in the middle. He'd do that drag, and he'd kind of hitch it back there, and he'd shoot it through the wickets of the defenseman. Either blow your toe caps up and knock you down and you're hurt, or he's blowing this thing through the net. And eventually guys started catching on to that, and they started taking that away and understanding how to do this and block it without getting hurt. And he would I remember he'd get through the stretch where maybe he was kind of cold for his doing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he's like, all right, now I'm just going to carry it and move east-west and carry it longer and cut across the middle. And then he started doing all these different iterations. So Ovi's office is Ovi's office, should be marked on the ice. But this guy changed his game nonstop over the course of these 20 years or whatever he's been in the National Hockey League. And that's how you get to 900. There's no other way than to adjust your game, and he has.
Well, you look at his 900th goal. He's coming on a backhand, for goodness sakes, on the opposite side. And I know, Binnington puts a puck in his pants and people are all freaking out about it. I thought it was actually kind of funny. Like, of course he was going to give it back to him. Just kind of play with it, have a little fun. It's hockey, for God's sakes. We can loosen up here a little bit. Like, does anybody think he's actually going to try to steal the puck? Like, give me a break. It's not like, now, It's different when Chris Pronger holds the puck after teams win, right? But this to me, I thought was a little bit more fun. But you're right. Like, obviously he had his office, but Ovi scored a lot of goals from the inner slot, like banging home rebounds, Rupper. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a reason you score 900 goals. Yeah, he has an unreal one-timer and the slap shot, but I'd love to look. I bet you he's probably almost scored as many goals from right around the net as he has from his one-timer slot. We just remember the one-timer ones because they're the highlight reel ones, right? And they look awesome. But I'd love to break it down when it's all said and done on where he's on where all of his 900 plus goals have come from. And I want to get to the fact that he's got 900 in the regular season, got 77 in the playoffs. And if you look at the total regular season in play, and it's never been a stat, nor should it, is different. But Gretzky had 1,016 total. Ovi's at 977. Now, I've heard rumblings that this will be his last year, but if Ovi gets to 1,000 total goals this year, it says, you know what, I come back. Because he seems to be a guy, like when he was at the chase to break Gretzky last year, he was on absolute fire, right? Mm-hmm. And I just wonder if that's everybody, like you talked about Michael Jordan earlier, right? Well, I took offense to that, right? That offended me. That was his way to get motivated, right? He'd find anything. What, did you say you didn't like my suit? Okay, now I'm offended. I'm going to drop 40 on you. Well, I could see Ovi saying, you know what? That's my goal now. Everybody looks for a new goal, the elites of the elite, to chase something. And I just wonder if that will be it for him. Because at the way he's scoring, he scores another 25 goals this year, let's say, or 30. Why should he leave? Like, why wouldn't he play?
So this is what I find interesting to me. And all this is based off of staying healthy. And that's why he's gotten where he's gotten. He's been very healthy his entire career, which is nuts because of those things you mentioned before. Like, he's not the poster child of fitness, but he's an animal. He's an absolute animal, and he played in the way the Brian Burke term truculence that he played with early on in his career. Like, the fact he stayed healthy is mind blowing. But that needs to remain. But if he wants it, it's there. If he wants to get to 1,000 regular season, it's doable. Like, I don't see why it's not doable. I know he's had a slow start this year, but he had a slow start last year, and he got last year was his. Last year, he was on that ridiculous tear at the beginning. Sorry, I think it was even the year before. But he's gone through some stretches in recent years where he's very cool, and then he gets extremely hot for a quick a segment of games. I think the same thing with Crosby on 2,000 points. If he wants it, it's there. Like, Crosby's cooking it like 90 points a year, high 80s the last number of seasons now. And Crosby just got 1,700, like 300 more points. Like, I mean, what is that? Is that 4 seasons of Sidney Crosby? Yeah. If he wants it, it's doable, which would be really impressive because no other player is gotten that. And then you got, Ovi getting to 1,000. If he wants it, it's there. And I just don't know. I don't know him. I don't know where his motivation is or where he's at with things. But me personally, being selfish as a fan, I want to see it. You're darn right. I want to see it because Wayne has been the bar. Wayne has had all these things. And it's like, I love to be a part of, in a small way, of just watching and being alive and seeing this all happen and go down. It would be incredible.
Well, I like Ovi at 900 it's so almost on the table. Like we mentioned Crosby. Crosby's got 636 goals. They came in at the same time, and Crosby's like a generational player. He's one of the best players, top 9 in scoring, and he's 266 goals behind Ovechkin. 266, Rupper. Yeah. Like most guys, that's a great career, for goodness sakes.
So that's why I know everybody's thought about this, and everybody's heard this, and we've said it year in, year out. But I still, every time it crosses my mind, I have to sit there and think of how nuts it sounds. 900 goals is 18 50-goal seasons. 50-goal mark has always been like, oh, so-and-so is a 50-goal scorer. That means he was a great goal scorer. Like 2-time 50-goal scorer, a 3-time 50. 18, he didn't get 18, but you understand what I'm saying here. Like so for someone to come along, going to have to average 50 a year for 18 years? Like Greg's, like I don't want to be that guy because I think we've all said that Wayne's was never going to get beaten. I don't know if this will ever get beaten. I don't know. Like, it doesn't seem possible, but here we are.
Yeah, it like I still remember after 2013 when people or sorry, 2012. And Ovi's slowing down because he'd had 38 goals and he'd had 32 the year before. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? And even again in 2017, he had 30. It's like, sadly, some people they always want to try to take the person down. And like Ovi's, his consistency with goal scoring, like he had he's had 9 50-goal seasons, which is tied with Bossy and Gretzky. But if you look at, he had 48 in 20. That season was cut short due to COVID. Otherwise, that's a lock, right? He had 14 games left to score 2 goals. Like that would have been his 10th for sure, right? One year he had 49, which is just his own doing. He played all 82 games. It's just, what do you do? That's the Rob Brown rule. I've talked to Rob Brown about it. He had 59 goals. He had 1 called back. Still pisses him off because you're not a 50-goal scorer, right? Like you're a 49-goal man, but you score 50 goals, you're looked at differently, right? And it's his goal scoring's been phenomenal and what he's doing. But even at his age, you look at what he's doing, you look at Sidney Crosby and what he's doing to start the season, right? Like he's the elite players. And also, we've been saying this for years, but the elite guys will be better all the time. And like the next elite guy, well, he's elite now, but who's going to be climbing the ranks, McDavid just became the 69th player to get to 1,100 points. But his consistency, Rupper, and you and I were talking about this off air. I got an article coming out about it. Like he got his first, he got 92 games to get 100 points. Then it was like 81 to get his next 100. Then after that, it's been 67, 57, 67, 52, 62, 57, 57, 57, 67. You're just like,
how is that?
Makes a great
I don't understand
players.
I don't understand how there's like such little fluctuant. It's not fluctuating very much at all. Like that's 57 3 times in a row. Are you kidding me? It's like that's not human. That's very robotic.
Yeah. It is weird. And so you look at him. So he's on pace because, even if he does it in quote 67 games, because that's how many games he has left this year. And he already has 1,103 points. So he would be at 1,200 by the end of the year. Then I think McDavid getting to 2,000 is almost a lock, Rupper, because then he would have 12 seasons if he plays till he's 40 to get 800 points. That's 67 points a year over a 12-year period. Like he's never had, like the only time he's had lower than 67 points was his rookie year when he only played 45 games. Right. So like it's even when he played 56 game season, he had 105 points. So like he to me is a lock and the only thing that stops him from getting to 2,000 is going to be injuries. And it's wild to think that, what you're seeing from hockey fans. And, I think people after a while kind of took for granted, like the young generation, when I put out Gretzky numbers and I did this, and I don't know if Pat has the tweet or not, but I put it out this morning on Gretzky just because I put out Ovi's ones and people were like, oh my God, that's crazy. Well, I did Gretzky's point splits and his first 500 points, he did it in 234 games, which is crazy. Then his next 500 was 190 games. And then from point 1,001 to 1,500, 196 games. And then from 1,500 to 2,000, 237 games. So his first 2,000 points, his first 1,000 points, he needed 424 games. His next 1,000, he needed 433. Like, are you joking? He had 2,000 points in 857 games. Like it's absolutely nut bar. And then even later in his career, point 2001 to 2,500 took him 308 games. So to put that in comparison for today's fan, Crosby and McDavid, their first, when they got to point 500, they both did it in the exact same number of games, 369. That's their first 500. Gretzky's fifth set of 500 points was 308 games. Like it's ridiculous.
It's crazy. And I don't mean this as a negative at all. I mean, you talk about Wayne, when we're speaking about any of these things, any modern day thing we see, we can always be like, it's always going to be second. It feels like it's always going to be secondary. I mean, obviously Ovi
or third
gets the goal record. That's what makes it so special. Yeah. And then the pace that Mario was on. Wayne's last seasons, he wasn't doing what Sid's doing right now at his age. You understand what I'm saying? So like, I guess that means one, Sid and Ovi are doing stuff that we've never really seen before at their age. But then also it shows how much more Wayne did younger. You know what I mean? Like Wayne's clip when you're looking here, it's mind blowing. So it's just funny that you don't know. It's a lot of time that has to pass for these things to happen. So when we're talking about McDavid, we could talk about pace all we want. We don't know what that looks like. We might be surprised when in Connor McDavid in 10 years from now, who knows? He might be coming up on some things we were thought never would be touched. And here we are. That's what makes these guys so great.
Well, Rupper, I actually think people underestimate Gretzky's 18th season in the league. He had 97 points. His 19th year in the league, he had 90 points. It was only his last year where he finished, and he only
was it just the one?
Goals. Yeah, it was just the 1 year. It was his last year. And that's why he quit, right? Like I remember his line. He goes, he scored 9 goals in 70 games. And I remember him saying, he goes, man, that used to be a weekend for me, 9 goals.
Yeah.
and so, but his 18th year, he had 97 points. His 19th year, he had 90. He was still top 5 in scoring those years in the NHL, right? Because you got like scoring and then it was his last year where he dipped down to 62. So for 19 years, that's why he's at 2,857 points.
Okay. So I stand corrected on that. I didn't realize he was still that dominant in his last couple of years. Yeah. I just always thought it was the lion's share is done for everybody in their earlier years, but I got to pull them up right now. I got to check this because I didn't realize it was like that at the end.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah.
Because I do remember the thought process. And that's what we always thought about with some of these other guys too, some of the greats. Once you fall below maybe a point a game, wherever that line is, just to be like, hey, I don't do it like that anymore. And then you can kind of understand, these guys, the way they think and are, and what they expect out of themselves. Great flow on Wayne too in this headshot. Wow.
Yeah. Like his goal total.
Yeah. So it's the goals that, so maybe that's what got me. It's the goals that dropped off. So you got
25, from 23 and then 8. Yeah. 9, excuse me. So
so if you go from, that's the shortened year. You got 94, 95. So don't count that one. We'll go 95, 96. Yeah. It was 15, 8, 25, 23, 9. So that's part drop, but the assists were still elite. Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah. Like in his second last year, he was tied with Pavel Bure for third in points with 90. Peter Forsberg, who was considered one of the best young players, he had 91, and he had 2 more goals than Wayne that year. Jagger had 102 points. He beat him by 12. That's it. And Jagger was in like his 7th or 8th year in the league, like right in his prime. And he only beat him by 12 points. Wayne.
Can we throw something that will never be touched though? That 215 is never going to get touched, is it? 215?
No,
in 1 year.
Like Connor had 153, and people were like, "That's unbelievable." Right?
So there with Connor's 153 that year, 85-86, Wayne had 163 assists. So we talked about how great it was for 100 assist seasons. I mean, we saw it with wingers with Kucherov, which is nuts. And we start seeing 100 assists. Wayne had 163 assists that season.
No. Yeah, his the record book is very different when it comes to Gretzky. And the sad part is some young generation fans like, oh yeah, I was the 80s, was this high scoring. I'm like, really? How come no one else was coming close? Like Gretzky would win the scoring race by 70 and 80 points, people. Right? Like his own teammates who were, by the way, Hall of Famers. So that's the thing. Like there's the Hall of Fame. There should almost be like the Hall of Fame of the Hall of Fame, right? Because you can put certain guys. Ovechkin's there as a goal scorer, right? Crosby's going to be there. But like Gretzky really should have almost his own wing of the Hall of Fame because he's so much different than anyone else.
If it's so easy, why wasn't everybody else doing it? You go ask 100%. The guys who played in that era. I think they beg to differ how easy it was.
Yeah, it was way tougher. Like, you got to have your head. Guys could elbow you in the face and no one even say anything. You're fighting. Like lots of guys who scored 50 goals were fighting 10 times a year, right? Yes. Nowadays, you score 50 goals, you might have 10 penalty minutes. So
you might have 10 hits.
It's just a different league.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not better or worse, just different. But I always like to remind the younger generation because like my son, because he reads lots on stats and he's just like, he'll come across some Gretzky things like, Dad, how was he able to do that? Like, it doesn't make sense. No one else. And he was smart enough at 11 to say, like, no one else is doing it. Like, Lemieux had the 1 year of 199, which was sick. And then obviously had the year of 160 when he had like in 60 games, which is unreal too. But it was freakish how much better it was than anyone else. Right. And that's like Obi. Yeah. That's like Obi's goals to have as many goals from 601 to 900 in the same fewer games than he did the previous time. It's ridiculous. So, yeah,
totally.
Now let's get to some of the younger guys in the NHL today, because if you're a fan of the Anaheim Ducks, man, the Quackers are coming back. The orange surge. I don't know. We might have to call them something because, man, the Anaheim Ducks right now, they are fun to watch. I saw a stat last night. They're the first team since Jagger and Lemieux and the 96 Penguins to already have 4 games with 7+ goals. Right? Like they score a ton. They're 9-3-1. They're scoring the most goals in the NHL. Now they give up a fair amount. And I'm like, I don't care. Like their games are averaging 7.4 goals per game right now total. I love it. And you got a youngster in Leo Carlsson who's got 20 points already. Then his running mate Cutter Gauthier's got 11 goals, tied with Sid the Kid. Funny enough, not much of a kid, but he's still scoring with the kids. Like, what do you think of the Ducks, man? Like Joel Quenneville's got those guys firing, and it's taken a while, but their young kids are really coming to the forefront now.
They are so fun to watch, and we knew we were going to get a level of this year, that they're going to hit a stride. They're just too talented not to take that next step. But I didn't know it was going to look like this. I mean, they're lethal. And here's the big part about it too. They've got a nice blend because they got in some veteran guys. Chris Kreider looks great there. I mean, Jacob Trouba is doing his job, looking great there. You start looking at the roster, at Alex Killorn, Frank Vatrano, guys who've been around. I just think this team, they should get in this year. I think I don't know what you think about them. I think they should. It's still early. Lots of things can happen. Yeah. They got to be consistent all season long, but they very well should be in there. And we talked about it last week. Like I think the Pacific, in whatever order you want, is going to look something like Edmonton, Vegas, and Anaheim. Like that's just who I believe in the top 3. And I don't know if you're going to get more out of the Pacific. Maybe you will, or you're going to get more as far as 4 or 5 from the Central. So, but if they can get in, this is what gets me. They've got power, they've got skill, they've got speed, they've got a lot of things going for them. But they got some big bodies too. And Cutter Gauthier's got some size to him. I mean, Leo Carlsson is a man child. Like when he puts it all together. Look out. This guy might be running the league. And I don't mean by lead. I don't think he's going to win any Art Rosses. I just think he's going to be a different animal to try to control. Mason McTavish can do a little bit of everything. I mean, they've got some real pieces that I think could thrive in the playoffs. If they could figure out just how to limit some of the stuff maybe against. I love this team. They're so fun to watch. What'd you say? 4 games up to this point that they've had 7 goals in. I mean, what are they in? 13 games in, 14 games in? You have 4 of your games. You have 7 goals. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, at 4 and 13 games, man. This early in the season, you got to go back to the 96 Pens. And the other thing about the Ducks that's wild is their last 2 games. Like, you score 7 against San Jose, and people are like, yeah, okay, it's the Sharks. They just scored 7 goals against the Panthers and the Dallas Stars. And Tyler Seguin after the game's like, Jays, we really prided ourselves on being good defensively, which they were. And then the Ducks come in there and it's just like, it's like the movie, man. They got the flying V out there. They're dominating. Like their guys are good. Like I watched that Florida game and the 3rd period wasn't even close. Like it wasn't even close. I'm like, do I have the jerseys on backwards here? Is this Florida dominating? No. It's the Anaheim Ducks. And that's what's impressive is they just scored 14 back-to-back touchdowns against Florida and Dallas.
Here's the thing with them too, and I've been looking at. I'm trying to find something right here. See if I can get the whole thing. They're in the middle of right now, so I think this was game 5 of a 9-game stretch that they are. Yeah, I think I got it right here. So they're on this stretch that started with. Where are they at here? Let me look.
Oh yeah, they've been on the road. They played 7 of their last 9 on the road.
Okay, so they're in this stretch of just playing it's a gauntlet. It's a gauntlet of teams to play. And it started with, I'm pretty sure, the Panthers, because they played the Panthers twice. And so it started, I don't have it in front of me, but anyways, they're in this 9-game stretch of just playing teams that you would expect to be playoff teams, whether they were last year or this year, elite teams. They're 5-0 in these 9 games. They're 5-0 to start this nasty stretch that in most situations you're looking at as a team, I think a coaching staff, hey man, this is where the rubber meets the road. If we can get through this 500, we stay afloat here. Now we're cooking with gas. Stay afloat. They're 5-0 in these 9 games. In 2 of those against the Panthers, which I get, and you could say whatever, they're banged up, but it's still a tough out. These guys might be for real. Put it this way. I believe in what they're doing right now more than what Montreal's doing. I love Montreal too. Fun to watch. They have a lot of those things that we mentioned before. Great future. But what this team's doing right now against the competition they're going against is pretty impressive.
Well, yeah, and it's 6 of their last 9 were on the road. I said 7 at 6. But
okay,
this is they went in, they beaten Florida, Detroit, New Jersey, Florida, Dallas. All Florida's, I know that they don't have Kachuk or Barkov, but they're still pretty good. Dallas, of course, is good. New Jersey's been red hot. Detroit's been red hot. And they beat them all. And not only they beat them, they spanked them pretty bad. 18. Yeah. They've scored 30 goals in those 5 games, and they've only allowed 14. So, you're outscoring, not only are you winning 5, you're outscoring them 2-1, 30-14. Yeah. So, shout out to the Anaheim Ducks and Ducks fans. And staying on the West Coast, another young guy, Macklin Celebrini. You freaking kidding me? Look at this kid. He's tied with McDavid and Jack Eichel for the points lead. And it's not just points for him. His defensive metrics are very good. He's actually playing 8 seconds more than Jack Eichel. He's playing 20:57. And he has been everything. There was lots of people that thought, hey, Celebrini, this guy, he could be Patrice Bergeron, is really good defensively. Well, he's better offensively. No offense to Patrice, but Patrice was never a high-end offensive guy like this. And I'm not saying Celebrini is going to win that many Selkies. I think it's hard. Sometimes your defensive acumen, gets a little bit skewed because you're so good offensively, right? I think there's years Crosby probably got overlooked for the Selkie. I thought his defensive game was that good. Never got credit for it. But Celebrini is a really good two-way player. Now, the Sharks aren't as good or as deep as the Ducks, but man, they got Mac and Celebrini, and that's a hell of a piece to build around.
He has so many different things to break down in his game. We talked last year out as far as some of his puck battle wins, top 3 or 5 in the National Hockey League, doing the same thing this year, loose puck retrievals, a lot of analytics as far as anything that he evaluates compete level. He does all those, and not just does them all. He's one of the league leaders as a teenager. So that's an area where when you go first overall, there's talent there. So should we be surprised that he's lead? I mean, yeah, probably this quick that he's tied for the league lead in points, but we knew he's going to be a point getter. I had no idea he had all these other things. And so I was looking at the other day, actually yesterday, doing a breakdown, and I started looking at, let's start with his shot, because I went through all of his goals. So he's got 8 goals on the season, and 6 of them, if you look at the heat map or the location where his goals are coming from, 6 of them they're mostly from the middle of the ice, slot or high slot. I started looking at him, Greg's. His release, so we talked about Connor Bedard's got an incredible release. We know that. We've seen it. Dylan Gunther's one that I think people should start paying more attention to. These young kids now, how they shoot the puck so differently. It's so awesome. And they're so differently from one another. It's not just one cookie cutter way of doing it. Macklin a lot of times will receive the pass from these goals aren't one-timers. He doesn't, they're coming across his body, but he puts his feet in position and receives the puck to be in shooting position. He shoots it violently, really quick. If you were to say to any kid or at the NHL level, take a wrist shot here and give it all you can, I'm bringing that thing from downtown. It's going to be a big wind up. You always see kids doing that. You do the big wind up, and then by the time you get it off, it may come off good, but you're going to get a stick on it. He collects this thing and it gets off almost to the speed of a one-timer. But it's not. He's collecting it across his body and firing it. But I also started looking of his 8 goals. If you get bored, just go poke around at all of his goals. I think he had 6, like I said, from the slot, high slot. I think 5 of them, no deflection, no screen, mano-a-mano with a goalie, and blowing the puck past the goaltender. That's not supposed to happen. So I was talking with Mike Kelly from Sportlogic, and I'm like, hey, we got to find some sort of measurement of distance on these goals with no help. And I know it's early and his goals may look different as the season goes on, but his shot, he's not. Austin Matthews has a great release. He's incredible at it, but he does that. He collects it real quick and gets it off quick, but he does that pull towards his body. So there's some trickery in Austin's shot. That's what makes him so unique. He will grab it and he's got great torque on his shot, great location, but he pulls it in and now you don't know where it's going to go. Macklin doesn't grab it and pull it towards his body. Like, he gets it off the same way, it seems like, every time. And by doing that, there's no trickery. He's just see if he can keep it up. But man, this kid he's on Team Canada. I know we're doing our stuff. He's on Team Canada. There's no chance that this guy doesn't play in the Olympics for them, right?
Well, the way he's going now, yeah. Like I almost had him on my first list, but I was like, okay, it's early. I'll give some respect. It's been 5 games. I'll give some respect to the veterans. But as I was watching, I was just like, keeps going up, and I'm like, oh my God. And he played on the wing at the World Championships. So there's no, like, you're the coach of this team. I think Team Canada, all you have to do is, I'm not comparing him because he's not Sidney Crosby. But Canada made a huge mistake back in 2006 when they kept Crosby off the team. Crosby ended up, I think there's only 2 Canadians who ended up that year with more points than him in the NHL. Canada got shut out twice that year at the Olympics. Martin Gerber, for God's sake, shut them out in one game. So you got to go with the guys who are going at that point. I don't care what you did last year. I really don't care who was on the Four Nations team a year ago. If all of a sudden you got Macklin Celebrini, who's if he remains top 5, top 10 in scoring at that point, how do you not have him?
I think both teams, we're going both teams, but I'm talking all countries that are competing in the Olympics. You always see them, especially like a Team Canada, you have to have one eye on the future too. So going into this, I think we all probably thought, who is it going to be? Was it going to be Connor Bedard, Macklin Celebrini, both? You always have to get the experience in there. So maybe that's even bring a guy along that's not even necessarily going to play. I don't think that's the case for Macklin Celebrini, at least what it looks like right now. But I think you always have a level of that. But what he's doing right now and the way he does it, again, points lead in the NHL. Team Canada does not necessarily need an injection of points. They need a complete player because they've got guys kind of playing in those spots already. But if you need him, he's there. He's able, if there's an injury, to bump up. He could be your 1C, 2C. He can play wing on one of those lines. He could play 3rd line, 4th line. He could be an extra. He has great defensive instincts and competes on pucks. Like, that's something that, so he provides something else too. He can get into that game and he can be effective. Not just, hey, let's keep one eye on the future because he's a future piece for Team Canada. He might actually help you win this thing. You might get a gold medal because of a guy like this. That's how elite he's playing all over the ice.
Yeah. Oh, hey, he is. Man, the Ducks and the Sharks, they used to have an unreal rivalry there in the early, 2007, right, till 2015. Both teams were really good. You had lots of big players on both teams. And, the Sharks are still probably the best organization that just couldn't win. They were good for so many years and just some unluckiness. Maybe some guys who didn't show up like you'd want at times in the playoffs. But, God, they were really good. And you know what? Things are cyclical in the NHL, and we'll see if they get back. Now, there's still lots of other teams in the West would say, hey, wait a sec. We're still here. And that's true. They're like Vegas and Dallas and Colorado and Edmonton. And you got the 2 fastest teams going head to head this weekend, both on 3 days rest, Rob. If you're looking for maybe the fastest game of the year, watch Edmonton and Colorado on Saturday. Because if you go to NHL Edge, they are the 2 fastest teams in the league. And it's not really close compared to their burst of 20 mile an hour bursts compared to everybody else. Like, we're talking Edmonton is second and they're 100 more than the 3rd place team. And they're at 1,700 and Colorado's just over, I think. And the next guy's 100 and plus below them. So both teams on 3 days rest. That should be the fast game to watch. Now, before we bring in Pat, I want to get to last night. I want to get your thoughts on the Tyler Pitlick hit on Chatfield. And came in that game. So you watch the Well, watch the hit right there. Like he rocked him. Hopefully we get the other angle of it. Like I thought he got chest and then his head. Did you think it was head first? What did you think? This might be the best angle coming up right here. Boom. Well, yeah, see, it's close. Yeah, I might have got his chin first. Now that angle looked like it was his chin first. So,
yeah. So, I mean, Jalen Chatfield has no idea this hit's coming, which, again, you have to have a bit of an onus on a player on the ice with the whereabouts. He's focused on making this play happen. He has no idea this hit's coming. So
he had the puck.
He had the puck, and we've seen him he took another one earlier this year too. So I think there's a level of that. When you don't suspect a hit coming, you're in a bad spot, and hopefully he's okay today. But he obviously that's not a good look. Now I'll say this on Pitlick. I don't think it was overly egregious, like dirty. I don't think there's intent there. What there is, when you really slow it down, this is where it gets tough. Being a guy that got paid to hit, and I was like, I was a checker. There is a more responsible way of making this hit now, because he's cutting them off, so it's a little bit of a clip. Now I don't think he just goes distinctively into the chin like we see sometimes, but if he kind of goes towards the meat of the body a little bit more, maybe you don't have these results. But at the same time, because you can see it right here in this angle, but there's another angle too where he's cutting him off. That's how you're properly supposed to hit. You're hitting where the guy is going to stop him from going there. Now, you can try to be more responsible and try to phase it back a little bit and hit him more in his torso. But now you're at the risk of this guy beating you. And now you look foolish and you're not doing your job. You know what I mean? So there's a fine line there. If you want to stop forward momentum and stop the play, that's the way to hit. But when you clip kind of or cut off too much, a little too fine on the front end, that's where you get some head contact. I don't think it was first, the principal point or whatever you want to call it. But there was a cleaner way of doing it. But it was also a way that maybe you don't fulfill the goal of the hit. And now you're sitting there and you're getting sat on the bench from your coach. So I get it. Yeah. It's a tough spot.
Yeah, well, it's split second. And, Pitt, like anybody who's watching, he's not a dirty player by any stretch of the imagination. Right. He's probably at that speed. If he's 2 inches, in, he hits his chest first and no one's really talking about it, right? Like where you see, because Chatfield, like the thing is Chatfield comes around. He actually looked up. He obviously didn't see Pitlick, but he looked and then to see where he's passing. And he got hammered. And the game is so fast now. It's unfortunate. Yeah. I don't think that's like a headhunter. There was no chicken wing or anything, right? You come in and hey, you're literally 2 or 3 inches from hitting the guy right in the solar plexus, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, that's an unreal hit," right? And so, I could see him getting suspended because intent doesn't matter, result matters. And at the end of it, so, when you pop a guy in the chin like that, he's probably going to get a suspension, I would think. And the truth of the matter is, and some people might not like to hear this, Tyler Pitlick's an easier guy for the league to suspend than if that is, say, Sam Bennett.
Yeah, I mean, I saw, I don't know, Mike Russo threw out there that he believes that there is no hearing for him.
No hearing
from the league. So I don't know if that's fully accurate, and he didn't say that's concrete or not. He said he's hearing that. So we'll see what comes about it. But it's, to your point, you nailed it. It was not a headhunter play. It was a play gone wrong. Is there a more responsible way? Yes, but you also have a job to stop the player with the puck. So it's tough when a guy doesn't see it coming and you're trying to cut him off where he's going. Unfortunately, you get some whiplash and you get some head movement, and that's what we really don't want to see.
He's saying he believes that it's not going to have a hearing, and Mike's pretty tapped into that. So I would assume I could see him getting a game or two, but at the same time, you watch that and I think now if you break it down and still pitchers never are the best thing on anything to show in a game of movement. I don't think it really works unless you're showing is the puck over the line, right? That's where the still shot can work. But, when you're coming in on a check like that, you watch it in real time. It's a bang, bang play. You probably slow it down. Even if you get a piece of the chest and then you get him well, then it's not a penalty. Or sorry, then it's not a suspension. He did get a major on the ice though, right at that time. And what's interesting though is that here's a guy who's trying to play physical. And he's taken a few penalties at times that kind of turn the game upside down, not necessarily positive for Minnesota. So that's a hard thing. There's a guy who's just trying to, get noticed, and maybe it's not really helping.
So this is and again, this isn't to put I'm not saying this is Jalen Chatfield's fault. I'm just saying from when you don't see a hit coming and you're not aware of it, and there's any speed involved, and there's speed because you got Chatfield, he can skate and he's moving, and Pitlick's coming across too. So there's going to be confrontation. When you don't see a hit coming, I'm 6'5", 240 when I played. You can get Brian Giantha if he puts a shoulder in my middle of my chest, no head contact, no nothing. If I don't see that coming and there's speed, I'm going to get messed up on the hit. I don't care like who you are, what size you are. When your body's not bracing for a hit, it could be the cleanest hit you got. And just the nature of physics, your head's going to whip back like you're not braced at all. So that's what stinks on a lot of these. And unfortunately, we have some bad results because of it. A lot of it goes back to not knowing a hit's coming for various reasons. My head's not up. Maybe it was a sneaky hit in certain situations. Maybe it's tough though. It doesn't. A 14-year-old can hit me, and if I don't see it coming, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. Yeah. That's just the nature of it. So hopefully Jalen Chatfield is okay.
Yeah, well, and unfortunately, as you mentioned, that's a few times now for him, and the Canes have had a fair amount of injuries so far this year. Although they thought Jarvis was bad, it didn't look bad, so hopefully it's the same with Chatfield. Totally different part of the body, though. Let's bring in Pat Puff now. Patty, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Greg. Let's do fill in the blanks today. It's a presentation of Bet365. Whatever the bet is, it's never ordinary. Bet365. Download the app, get in on the game, use code NATION. Bet365 must be 19 or older. So we're going to start. Let's get rid of that here. We're going to start over with the goal leaders this season. So I want to know, fill in the blank, who on this list is the most surprising to you, Gregs?
So there's Crosby, Gauthier, McKinnon, Hughes, Draisaitl, Caulfield, Geekie, Scheifele, Natchez, and Wyatt Johnson. Yeah, Morgan Geekie for me. 10 goals, unreal start for him. Boston's kind of come back. They're still in the mix here. But yeah, Morgan Geekie, double digits in goals early on. I would say that's a surprise to me. Followed probably by Cutter Gauthier. I didn't think Cutter Gauthier was going to have 11 to start the season. It's a great start for both those guys.
Yeah, those are, Cutter Gauthier probably is certainly one. I'm going to go actually with Jack Hughes because, I think Jack, when you think of Jack Hughes, you probably think of, 30 goals, a 30-goal guy. He could be a 30-goal guy. He has been but for him to have 10 right now, that's a pretty good clip for him. So maybe one that jumps out to me would be Jack Hughes, because I don't really think of him as being a league leader in the goal scoring department.
Yeah, that's fair. I think for me, it's probably Geekie as well. Cutter's a surprise, but I kind of would have thought it would have taken a couple more years for him to get to this. So he's having a great season so far. The second one I have for you guys, these are the bottom 5-6 teams from last season. So my question to you, because I feel I intentionally left Anaheim off this list, which of these teams is the most improved this year legitimately? Because a couple of these teams are off to great starts, but legitimately of these 6 teams, who is the most actual improved with maybe playoff potential? I
don't know if I wouldn't say playoff potential, but the most improved for me is Chicago. Chicago was a bad hockey club last year, fellas. They've been a bad hockey club for a couple seasons, and they look like they're starting to turn a corner as far as just their compete level and the way they are in games now. And I know it's still early, and I think that starts with the top. Connor Bedard looks like a different player. That's a team for me that finally we're seeing a step. I thought last year was it seemed like they plateaued from Bedard year one through last season. So they're the ones for me, I think, that are exceptionally better than what they were last year.
Yeah, so there's the Sharks, Hawks, Preds, Flyers, Bruins, Kraken. I'm going the Bruins. Like the Bruins have suddenly won 5 in a row again. and being on a real heater. They got Pasternak. Now, because they were off to a terrible start and Swayman wasn't good. I'm thinking, here we go again. But I'm going to say Boston. Seattle, I just think they're kind of smoke and mirrors. I'm sorry, Kraken fans. I'm not sold. And then the Sharks are improved, but they're very leaky defensively. The Predators can't score to save their life. I don't think that's changing very much. The Flyers got, some young guys where I think they're trending a little bit in the right direction, but not there yet. So, I'm going to go with the Boston Bruins.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's actually interesting looking at this and thinking about, Chicago and San Jose and how they're, like you said, the San Jose, Anaheim rivalry it's exciting to watch now. I think the Bedard and Macklin Celebrini rivalry is going to be fun to watch for the next few years as well. So it's kind of exciting looking at this and thinking, wow, some of these teams are going to be great in the next couple of years, and maybe not the Nashville Predators. We'll see about that. But the third one I have for you is fill in the blank. Which city would you like to see get a PWHL team? We got a couple more announced the other day. They're expanding rapidly, it seems, at this point. Is there a city in your mind that's like, maybe they don't have an NHL team and this would be a great opportunity for them to have some hockey in their city? Have you put any thought into that, Greg's?
It's a good question. I'm intrigued to see kind of how quickly the PWHL expands. I think it'll help them. They're going to have more European players, right? Because and that's how the women's game is going to grow, because you get more European players playing against the Americans and the Canadians. And that's eventually slowly going to close the gap, because right now the gap's pretty big. Canada and US dominate on the women's side. Finland's plucky and everything, but they're really not that close. Russia's almost taken a step back. They need Sweden and Finland, and some other countries, Slovakia and them, to get better. I'm going to go a team that I think, a city that makes a lot of sense. And you're right. They don't have an NHL team. They got an arena if they want it there, although some might say it's too big. I'm going to go with Quebec City.
I like that one. My knee jerk is needs to be in Canada, but I'm going to go a different route with this. I think that Quebec City or anywhere in Canada would be a great spot for them to have it in the right place. I'm going to go with one, and maybe it's because I'm partial because I was born and raised there, but I'm going to say Cleveland, Ohio, where the rivalry series game was last night at Rocket Arena, where the Cavaliers play. And the reason why I say that is no NHL team, but you're still close enough to Columbus. And it's also geographically, for those that don't know, and Cleveland's such an interesting spot for youth hockey, whether it's girls or boys, where you've got it connects Detroit to Pittsburgh and Buffalo, and it's right in the middle of them all. And then it's only a few hours from Ontario as well. So you get quite a bit of traffic through there, like youth hockey through Cleveland, Ohio in the summers, in the youth hockey seasons are absolutely nuts with teams flowing through there. So I don't know. I think it would be a great spot eventually would be in Cleveland.
I think that's fair. And just quick answer, which of these two do you like logos do you like the best for podcasts? It's the new Vancouver Golden Knights and the Seattle Torrent.
Well, it's funny. I'm going to say the Torrent because I like the background with all the trees and the water.
I was thinking the same thing.
It's a little bit misleading. Like, it looks way better on it. So,
you're like, wait, so is this whole thing the logo?
Yes. So if you have that background, like their jersey has like the tree line and the ocean, I'm like, oh my God, that's the greatest one I've ever seen. But I kind of like the Torrent. I will say that the Golden Eye is kind of like the eye looks okay, but I like the Torrent way better.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of split. I think the Golden Eyes, I think, is such a cool name, but I kind of like the logo of the Torrent better. So I'll probably go Torrent as well.
Yeah, that's my exact answer. I think the name Golden Eyes is way cooler, but the logo for the Torrent is nice. I'm excited to see what else they can come up with. That's all I've got for you for Bet365. Fill in the blanks.
Love it. A few other things, Rupper, to discuss quickly. We had talked about, the Ducks and Ovi and everything and Pitt. Like, what about the Bruins? What do you make of them? Suddenly they won 5 in a row here. And I know that the East, early on right now, the East is ultra competitive. Some would argue that it's falsified competitive because of the loser points, and there's so many of them. But every team's at least 500 points percentage. So the Rangers and the Sabres are at the bottom. They played 14. They each have 14 points. So which means every team would get to 82 points. Now I don't think that's going to be possible, but I guess you never know. The Bruins though have suddenly reeled off 5 straight wins. Are you buying on this? The Bruins, or do you think this is just a little mirage for them?
It's hard to say. I first, when the season started, I wasn't very high on the Boston Bruins. I don't think their build is great. They got a lot of players I really like, but when you look at their season, and you mentioned like they started off great, and then they really went in the tank. And then they kind of play themselves out of it. So it's been a little bit of this, a little bit of that. There hasn't been very much consistency. So I think that's the main thing is what are you going to get each night? Because right now I have no idea which Boston Bruins team is going to show up. But as far as, that guy on your screen right there, David Pastrnak, it's unbelievable. Again, I'll go back to last year. I think it was one of the most non-spoken about great seasons that we've seen in recent years. That team was very bad. He led the league in 5-on-5 points. He was not just getting everything off that power play. It's nuts to think it was MVP caliber season, but you're not going to have that because of where they finished. So I don't know. They're a team. I think Charlie McAvoy's playing much better now. I think he was trying to do too much early on. And again, to go back with this last year or so, the departure of Brad Marchand seems like it happened a long, long time ago.
Yeah.
He was their captain. I think there's a loss of guidance in some ways. Who are we? What are we going to do now as far as who's leading? What does our team look like? What's our identity here? I thought Charlie McAvoy was trying to do too much. And it's coming from a good place, but now he's starting to settle in. But when they're healthy and they got Hampus Lindholm, Charlie McAvoy, Jeremy Swayman, if they can get his game going, they could be sneaky. But I don't believe that they're a playoff team. If they are, I think it's going to be due to a lot of teams in the East struggling and kind of leaving the door open for them.
Yeah, they've won 2 in regulation, 2 in overtime, and 1 in the shootout. All these extra point games, you're kind of like, you know what? Are these teams that good? I don't know. Montreal's won a lot, but they beat a lot of teams who didn't make the playoffs last year. I think they have 1 win against a team that was in the playoffs last season. And I know Montreal's super exciting, but eventually they're going to start playing some of the tougher teams, and we'll see how they do. Because eventually, if you want to be a playoff team, you have to beat the weaker teams, but then you got to be usually, even or a game or 2 above 500 against those other playoff teams to get in. And the thing that gets me too, and
I don't usually judge it this early because I think you need a longer sample size, but regulation wins matter. And as long as you're in the neighborhood of other teams that are where you are in the standings and the regulation wins, that's fine. But for Montreal's sake, they're one of the top teams in the league points wise. They got 4 regulation wins. So of their 9 wins this year, they've only won 14 games. In 14 games, they've won 4 games in regulation, which that's playoff hockey. So they haven't had any shootout wins or whatever, but they've gotten 5 overtime wins. They got that OT loss last night to the Devils. But that's where I need to see more. And so it's great. They're finding ways. I love it. And they're so exciting, man. I flip on the Canadiens whenever they're on because it's must watch television because they're exciting. But like you're saying for the Bruins too, it matters how you win and when you win, and don't get fleeced by overtime and shootouts because I think that could tell you a lot.
Great stuff, Rupper. Have yourself an awesome weekend. I mentioned look at that Colorado Edmonton game if you're looking for some speed. So that'll be good. That's my killer dog, Zip It.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, hey. Oh, buddy. Yeah. It sounds like a killer, right? But here, let's see, Robert.
What boy or girl? What's his name?
Her name is Mabel, but she is not. She's not
What's up?
Yeah. She's a
walk time or what?
King Charles Cavalier. Yeah. Yeah. No, she only barks. She obviously was just, I have a walkout basement. And so the screen's open so she can see outside. And we have a big walking path beside. So anytime there's a big dog, she likes to bark. It's more so because she says hi. She's not aggressive to anybody, but that's why it's funny. And
perfect timing. Perfect timing.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, Rupper, have a great weekend. Thanks for listening, everyone, to the Rundown. We'll chat with you next week.
Thank you.
Hey, hockey fans, if you enjoyed that video, then make sure you hit the subscribe button right here on the Daily Faceoff YouTube. We have you covered for everything you need. Exclusive interviews on The Sheet with Jeff Merrick, all the latest hockey news on Daily Faceoff Live, and you can always get your morning started with Johnny Lazarus and Colby Cohn on Morning Cup of Hockey. Don't miss a minute. Hit that subscribe button.